Campbells Comments Equestrian, very, very happy. Firstly, Tony Norris, welcome back.
Thank you. Always good to be here, Paul.
Tony Norris, for those who aren't aware, is behind EQEAL, EQEAL, which is equine events, and trying to break down some of the barriers, I suppose, that some of the kids have, Tony, reaching where they want to get with horses and showcasing. We did did one of your first master classes just recently, and it was a big success there in Belinda, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, the intent behind the masterclass is to give everyday equestrians access to our elite equestrians and our high performers, and for those high performers to share their secrets. So that's been the drive behind our masterclass series.
Absolutely, and to reach the pinnacles. Olympics are on everyone's minds right as we speak, and I think everyone wants to get there. And we've got a huge contingent of athletes going to the Olympics, but in the equestrian field, we always seem to bat above our, I suppose, weight division, if you like. And one of the great stories, especially for me, being a local Central Victorian person, I was actually born in Rochester, which is the same place where we got, firstly, Robyn Pearce joins us. Firstly, Robyn, you live in Rochester, you still live in Rochester, so it's a beautiful part of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is, Paul. Yep.
There's a little...
Yep. I've lived here all my life, actually.
The climate is good, I must say. It'd be a nice frost this morning, though.
Yes, and a pea super fog.
I never understand why they call them a nice frost, actually. It always has me worried. We've got you on. Your daughter, Symone, has made the Olympic equestrian team. Firstly, as a mother, can you describe when she gets, accepted or told that she's in the team? How do you take all that in? Like, I've got a young 15-year-old daughter, and I love seeing her go clear in a show jumping course. But to actually make an Olympic team, can you describe how you felt when she actually rang you and I presume she rang you and told you, or you might have found out online, but just from a mother's point of view.
It's really tricky. I've been thinking about that because the space I'm in now that she's on the team is not maybe where people would expect me to be, because they think that I'm going to be really like jumping up and down and really excited. But I don't know if you ever remember when Kathy Freeman won the gold medal at the Olympics in her jupe suit, and at the end she did not look excited, did she?
No.
I don't know if you remember, she fell on her knees and she just had this look of absolute relief.
And that's,
so it's like for me,
and then I think that's key.
It's like we've arrived at this space that we've been batting at and slogging for. Just gonna get emotional about that, and we've dug in and we've dug in and we've dug in and we've done what we had to do and we've done what we had to do, and it's like so for me it's like being in the eye of the storm, not out on the outside. I'm like, finally, here we are.
A big exhale more so than jumping around. Yeah, like I think people, I remember when they said Sydney were announced as the the Olympic thing, and you see all these people jumping for joy. Whereas when Symone was when Symone was told she's on the team, it was like, yes, this is where it's all. What was Symone's reaction?
Pretty much the same, actually. She's such a professional that I said to her, are you excited? And she said, Mum, I'll be excited when I enter at A.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's the way she is. She's not, She doesn't get all, she's just like focused on what she's doing, and she's like, when I've entered a day, I will say I've ridden at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Up until then, it hasn't happened.
And unfortunately, even today, I think things change as well. There's not going to be any crowds at all by the sounds. Even the Japanese are not going to be there, so it's continually changing. So hopefully, all the athletes that have put so much sacrifice in. Was she close last year? We will get onto her journey very quickly, but was she close last year, or has the extra year really helped Symone to cement her spot?
She probably, I would assert, would have been in the team last year, but this year it was, as you say, really cemented. Yeah, she was close last year, close enough that I think she would have, been in the team. But, you know, now, yeah, obviously we were like, if they don't put her in the team, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you just, I suppose, a little bit of the journey that Simone has had? Firstly, like, you know, my daughter, you know, one of the reasons Campbells Comments Equestrian and EQUEAL do work is trying to make people aware that they can actually achieve their goals. And I think this is where, for, you know, a lot of people here in Central Victoria especially can really associate with someone that's grown up in a small town like Rochester. Can you, did she start off in Pony Club and showing, or can you just give us a quick run through on how she actually started her journey to get to where she is?
Yeah, sure. So she started, she was riding as soon as she was born, of course. And it started off really in Pony Club when she was 3. I would go to Pony Club to teach, and she would say she wanted to come. And I'll say, you can come. And she had to ride, of course, because there was no one there to look after her. And so I'd say, you can come and you can ride, but the only reason you can stay in the group is if you keep your damn pony going and keep out of the road. So she started Pony Club at Rochester when she was 3, and she used to ride even in the big groups. I taught all day long, so whatever group I was teaching, she rode in. And she kept that old pony going off lead at the age of 3 all damn day long. And then we went to, after a lot of years in Rochester Pony Club, we then went, Beaumont Extension Pony Club started up, and that's literally just around the corner from us.
Yep.
And so we moved to that pony club, and all that while we were doing shows. And so she did her first royal show when she was 6, and I might have even been 5, I forget. But she qualified her own pony for that show. I used to want to ride him at the shows to get him qualified. And she'd say, Mum, if I can't qualify him myself, I'm not going. So that was what she was like right from the get-go. And
Tony, that's one of the things with the EQUEAL masterclasses that I learnt and gleaned from there is the fact that most of the competitive riders representing Australia, I suppose, overseas, and not just in the Olympics, have a huge show background, and the show component of it is so important to the fundamentals of whatever discipline they're going to do.
Oh, absolutely. Pony Club and showing is a huge, start for Australian equestrians, and particularly the dressage team. If you have a look through all the dressage team, they're nearly all show riders. So, Robyn, from your point of view, how important was Simone's background in showing to her dressage career?
Oh, she'd have had no real start if it wasn't there, Tony, because, of course, there's not a lot of straight dressage available at all to kids other than the little bit you get through your, Pony Club eventing. But, like, showing just got Simone where she doesn't feel nerves. She's never nervous. I tell you, she'll ride at the Olympics, she won't be nervous because she'd done all those little workouts where you had the judge just telling you right there on the spot what you had to do, and you had to just go right out there and perform. And sitting up there riding for champions at royal shows and all that stuff. The foundation of showing is just incredible. Really, so valuable.
So as a racing person, and a lot of people know that I'm a racing person, but I'm a horse lover as first. Like I always see, I suppose I saw dressage initially as paint drying, showing I always seen as well, it sort of befuddled me a little bit when you go and actually watch them. And then you got your show jumping, and the one that I love is your cross country. Robyn will be back in a second, I hope. Yep, she's back. It's a lot more than that. And please don't take it that way, because I have a 15-year-old daughter, and I love dressage as a discipline, and I encourage any father that has kids who ride to get them into the dressage. It's like pulling teeth, I think, initially. I'm not sure how you went with Simone, Robyn, but it's like pulling teeth to get them to do the dressage. But it's so fundamentally important, especially for show jumping, to be able to get around a course so much quicker. If you can do a flying change or a couple of flying changes, straight away you can turn so much quicker. So I suppose, how hard was that to keep Simone tracking onto that and not maybe digressing and going show jumping or anything along those lines?
So cute that you asked that. Let me paint a little picture. Here's Simone on her, she's 5, and no, she's smaller than that when she was on Laurie. Yeah, she was probably 4. And we're down at Werribee, and I'm competing that day on my horse in the dressage. And there's a few big name people there. One of them was Mary Hannah, and she's sitting up there on a shetty, and she says, I love dressage. My Shetland can do dressage. Let me show you. And she takes her leg out and she boots it and boots it and boots it on one side until it steps sideways. And she goes, Dunno! See, I can do the half pass. And she used to come to competitions and tell me whether, like this with her arms, whether my crossovers were enough in the half pass right from the age of 3. And she'd sit in front of the damn telly and watch Nicole Ufoff and Rainer Klimke riding in the Pas de Deux, and that's all she'd watch. Put that on again, put that on again, put that on again. So I was never driven by me is the answer to that question. That was just the journey she was on right from the get-go.
And then that's key. But the showing as well was always, I suppose, a little bit of fun. But she could see where that would help her dressage.
Well, she always wanted to do dressage and compete in the show. She loved the show. She missed the showing terribly when she finished showing. You know, she loved the social aspect and the glitter and all the prettiness and everything. But all the time she was always training all of her show horses to do tricks. Yeah,
to do the other part. How old was she when she moved overseas or started to move overseas? How old was she when she, I suppose, took on the adventure?
She was 17 and a half, and she wanted to go overseas and do something extraordinary in her gap year. And she went over there for 5 months and then came back and to sell 2 horses that we had here. And she said, I'm going back, Mum. I'm going to go there permanently. So, yeah, that's how it started.
So how did you...
Sorry, Tony, you go. No, you keep going, Tony, you're all right.
Yeah. Right, so Ron, I just wanted to know, how did her gap year or 5 months in Germany come about? Did she have contacts? Was she approached by somebody? How did that actually eventuate?
Another good question. So she went initially to be an au pair.
Yep.
Right, to be a nanny, and because she wanted a little break from riding. Actually, she'd just done so much. So she actually organised this lady a job for herself in Spain at 17 and a half. She organised her own job. I didn't have anything to do with it. I'm one of those kind of casual mums, like I just trust that, she knows what she's doing. And she got over there to a job that the lady was supposed to speak English and the children were supposed to know a little bit of English. She got there, the lady could speak like 4 words and the children none. And so she stuck it out for 3 months as an au pair for her. It was terrible. There was twins and one of the little kids was autistic, and she's 17 years old. She didn't even have brothers and sisters, so it was never going to really be a great gig for her.
Yep.
And while she was over there, I said to her, when she goes, she has to promise that she would stay over there for 5 months. That I paid for it if she stayed for 5 months. That might seem hard, but I wanted her to learn what it was like to go through loneliness and all those states you'd have to go through to really, pull through and make something of what you were doing, not just have it be on a whim. And so she rang up, of course, really upset. She stuck it for 3 months for to do the right thing by the lady. And then some people over at Shepparton, there's 2 families, mainly the Hockings, actually, Justin and Amanda, they had said they would help us out if she ever got stuck. And so they found her a place at Johan and Penny Rocks as a groom. And so she went there as a groom and stayed for quite a few months then before she came home. But when she came home and wanted to go back, she had met Sabine Rubin over there. I don't know how she met, but she had met Sabine over there. And so she came home and she contacted the Robyns and got her own job and set it up from there.
Before you...
In an interview with the Equestrian... Oh, sorry.
Keep going, Tony.
So in an interview with the Equestrian Life Magazine, she talks about Sabine and the influence of Sabine. How has Sabine been a mentor for her, or how has that, evolved over the 10 years that she's been there?
Yeah. So at the start, Tony, she went over and she was working for Sabine, and started to ride for her. And I would say Sabine's just been this person that really believed in Simone right from the get-go, and put her on good horses and gave her opportunities to really get started. And then when Simone said, I think I need to go somewhere else, Sabine wasn't like pissed off, if you like, about that, excuse the phrase, but she literally yes, this is where you should go. And she wanted to, she would give her references, and she always would be the person that Simone could call again whenever she was somewhere and not happy, and wanted someone to talk to. And she's just been a mentor and a real almost like a second mum, even though she's not as old as I am.
You're only
younger version.
You're only 21, so don't let that worry you. First, I want to go back, Sarah Tones. I just want to go back a couple of steps on a couple of questions. When she was 17, like obviously 17 and a half, she wanted to leave. Firstly, how good was her dressage? Like what stage was she at with her dressage riding when she was a 17-year-old girl?
She was competing FEI on a thoroughbred that we bought for her when she was 15. At the stage that we bought him, he was elementary, and she got him up to competing pre-St. George before she left.
And
we got another one, Warm Blood, that is terribly lazy, but that's the horse that she got her rider's competitive license, because over there you've got to have competed twice and scored over 65% in FEI to be able to compete at FEI. So you get your rider's license, so you can't just say, I'm going to do that and away you go. So to get your proper official competitor's license, that's what's got to have happened. And that horse had just done that for us before she went over there, so that was really great too.
And the other part I wanted to say is, like in another life, I'm a horse dentist, and I had a German student with me, and it was the greatest eye-opener ever. It was probably about 10 years ago I had Lutz with me, and talking to him about people riding horses and getting horses. He was a professional rider over there prior to becoming a dentist. He got to exercise horses for people, and it amazed me, and I think it's one thing that a lot of people here should sit back and take this in a bit. Families shared ponies and the likes, and they had designated days when they could ride and when they couldn't ride, and the likes. But Lutz and another guy, their full-time job was riding these other ponies for people just to keep them exercised on the off days when the families didn't share them. For Simone, it must have been so hard to get a start riding over there, because it is so competitive. It's so different to here, where, like you said, you get an off-the-track thoroughbred. There's horses everywhere here in Australia that we can take at any time, whereas it must have been so hard for her just to get that start.
Yeah, when she went to, Rox's, and she was cleaning stables, and then, and we had so many people here in Australia say, because we told them what she's up to, and, really influential people as well. And they said, well, she'll be back because all she'll get to do is clean stables over there. She'll just be a glorified, stable cleaner. And, Johan and Penny started to just give her a little ride on the odd horse. And they were like, oh, she's not too bad. And she just kept showing that she could improve and, really coachable. And Penny was giving her lessons, and Johan as well. And then they started putting her on, the better horses and like that. And so it's always been, look, even when we were showing, we weren't the rich people. We didn't have the fancy horses, and we always had to make our horses, buy horses and try to make them. And she used to say sometimes, Mum, I'm never going to be as good as everybody else. And I'd say, we call her Bubba. And I'd say, Bubba, it's like this. If you get good enough, they will have to notice.
Yep. And
so she literally, that's how she got the start. She just kept showing she was good enough and got noticed, and showing she was good enough and got noticed. When she first went to Hellstrand, they used to joke and say, if we go to a competition, well, it's okay, we won't come last because there's an Australian competing.
Yeah. And she would. I'm tipping she didn't come last, though, did she?
She did a lot at the start. Not last, actually, but, she was over there. She won't like me telling you this, but she was over there for 2 years before she won her first competition.
Wow.
For 2 years. And she got the odd little placing, and then she finally had a win.
Was that?
And you see, part of that is, if I could just say, part of that is that she was always in sales barns. So she'll get a horse ready to compete and start competing, and it's, you know, it's going okay, and then sold. And then sold. So very hard to get a real leg up while you're trying to get known on horses that are sold. Like, you go to the World Championships, the minute that show's over, all those horses are sold.
And that was going to be my question. Like, how hard was it to get to ride a horse that was capable of winning? But clearly it was incredibly hard.
Incredibly hard, yeah, because you'll just get them at the stage where they're ready to win, and they'll go off and be sold to somebody else to win on. No problem. Like, that's what, no resentment there, but that is how it was.
Yeah, but that's possibly what's made her the rider that she is now. Is the flip side of that is that she educates horses, gets them to a stage, and they go. So she's got to go back to stage A, you know, and start again, and get them up. Once they go, she starts again. Maybe, you know, one of the biggest problems we have here in Australia is that we do have access to so many horses that potentially people probably keep horses a little bit too long, where they don't sort of reach, you know, elementary. That's as far as this horse is going to go with this rider. So let's move that one on, try and get another one and keep turning them over. Maybe that's something that we need to look at here in Australia, is to, you know, educate our riders and our participants that selling a horse is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing for everyone. Yeah. It'll increase the competition, but it'll also improve our riders.
It's very good, Paul, as a coach, because I coach, and it's one of the things I say to people is, you know, they say, "Oh, this is my life horse." And I'm like, don't be ridiculous. No horse is your life horse.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's if everyone was on the journey of taking a horse as far as they could take it, but also being wise enough to say, no, this horse isn't going to go any further, you know, there would be a lot more growth in the industry. Yeah. Yeah.
And that could change the way that people do it. And Tony, back to you with what you're trying to do with EQEAL and the Masters. That's potentially, you know, maybe someone we have to sort of start educating some of these people that as a combination. It would be hard. Both you guys have competitively ridden. It'd be hard for someone to turn around and say, "Listen, you guys aren't going to go any further," because, I mean, no one rides a horse and they don't become their friend. You know, like, you know, you don't climb on a horse day in, day out and don't become part of those horses, but it's possibly something that we have to educate people to.
Yeah, I'm always happy to say that to anyone I'm coaching. I think he's past his use by date. And, you know, and I say, but I'm happy to coach you on this horse for the rest of your life, no problem. But, you know, where you want to go and where this horse is going to take you are two different things. So we have to look at that and be really realistic about that. And, you know, Paul, with Symone, when she was little, it was always like this. Okay, you want the next level horse. You want to go up a gear or get a taller horse, even, because she was growing so fast. We weren't rich. So for us, it was, we have to sell that one to get the next one. Yep.
Yeah.
She grew up with that mentality.
It's a similar problem we have here, and it's a similar problem for a lot of families in Australia. I know Holly's first horse, if Alison Elford is watching this, she's still traumatized by taking Harry to Katie, who was this ripping pony, and the tears. But, you know, I think Holly grows as a better person for that, because Harry, you know, taught Katie to ride, and then Harry's gone and done the next level. And we had the same issue again with another one not long after it, but we're in the same boat. Holly's got 7 horses. We've bought one of them. You know, the rest have been given to us because people, you know, have issues or whatever. So it is one of the struggles with people, I suppose, getting horses. And sometimes you've got to be careful which ones you get given too, because that's not always the way to take horses, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
It is indeed. When did Simone feel comfortable that she can compete consistently in Europe? Is there a time or a horse that you can actually, you know, sort of say she felt at home then?
What do you mean by at home?
I think whenever people are competing and all the rest, you've always got that, I suppose, that nervous anxiety of, you know, hopefully we're going to be good enough today to win and all the rest. And then sometimes you just start rocking up and you just go, yeah, we belong here. We're part of this. You know, like you said there before, the Germans kept saying that we're not going to run last because there's an Aussie. Can you describe a time where all of a sudden they said, we're in trouble because Symone's here?
I think, I'm not sure if she would agree, but for me, one of the things that I saw is when we were at the World Championships for the first time, the World Young Horse Championships, I was over there, and she sent me a message that said, showed me a message actually, sorry, on her phone, and she said, "You won't believe it, Mum, but Andreas Hellstrand is headhunting me." and I said, "I don't believe you." Actually, I actually didn't believe her. You know, because like I'm still like, it's my little girl. We're just the kids from Australia. And she shows me the text, and Andreas literally has asked her to come and trial to be, you know, a rider for her. I'm like, Andreas Hellstrand, what? You know, what? And so, you know, I would say that was a turning point where there was a level of, you know, yeah, I'm for her, like I'm getting this shit, you know, I'm pretty good, because she'd taken this little mare that was for sale for €20,000 before it went to the World Championships, Felicia, and she said to her boss, that the guy that owned the horse, "I think this horse could be for the World Championships," and he was like, "No, it's a nice little mare, but you know, not quite like that." And then he went and watched her. He hadn't watched her training, and she'd been training it for about a month. And he said, "Oh, okay, it is pretty good." And so they literally had enough time to get it to two shows total. It's a 5-year-old mare. Before it went to the Worlds, it went to the Worlds and came 15th in the top 15 in the world, and then was sold for €350,000 straight. Yeah, if you can just get your head around that.
I'd love her.
Yeah, and that day Andreas headhunted her. So I think that would have to be thought of as a turning point. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that makes it a difference, and I'm sure it makes a difference for her, because no matter what anyone says, still living away from home, you know, she might consider where she is home now, but it's still not. It's not Beaumont, you know, and Rochester. It's far removed from there. So I think when you can start to get a little bit of comfort, I suppose, around you, it would have to make that move really key. The great part, Tony, about this story is the fact that Simone is from Rochester, Beaumont, and there'll be a lot of people that'll, when we finish this, they'll go on the Google Maps and they'll go, "I wonder where this place is." You know, it is that far removed, especially with dressage. Like Werribee would be nearly 3.5 hours, possibly a touch more, wouldn't it?
It's 3.25 now that we've got the good road.
Yeah.
It used to be 4 hours.
And so, like, you were competing, but also your daughter and trying to get there. So there's a lot of sacrifice goes into this achievement, doesn't there?
Yeah. When we were showing, we used to show every weekend, sometimes twice a weekend for 7 months of the year.
Yeah.
So that was the build up, and then she went to school down at Braemar College, you know, at Mount Macedon.
Yep.
And so she had her horses down there, and I would drive from here, pick her up and go to Werribee, pick her up and go to Tree Haven, or, you know, any of those places down there, or sometimes even pick her up down there and bring her back here to Tatura and then take her back again. Yeah.
I want to ask you, this is a question you sort of half skimmed across there before, and it will be my last sort of hard question, I promise.
Okay.
Campbells Comments Equestrian and EQEAL is about keeping kids involved in horses for long periods of time. I want my daughter, but I want my daughter's friends and everyone to be able to partake in them, because I think, as far as life goes, without horses, I think the world's a much better place when you can get up every morning, pat a horse, and go out and do your chosen sport, and the likes, and you don't have to go off and take a job up riding track work early mornings or picking up boxes and things like that. How can we stop Symone from getting to the stage of 17 years of age and she needs a break here in Australia? Like, how can we? Do you have an idea of how we could potentially stop that? Like, as a mother that's recently gone through it, to continue to keep people in horses and competing at the biggest level here in Australia. I've stumped it, Tony.
You have.
Never
I'm
lost
not
for
often lost for words.
It's just while you're thinking, Robyn, it's just one of those things that Tony, I find when going around a lot of places. I've been interviewing quite a lot of girls. Montana Maud just recently, like she's 18 years of age, quite a accomplished dressage rider that unfortunately for her, she got a little bit of a concussion the other day. She's getting over that, but she wants to stay in horses, but she's just not sure how she can. And that's one of the things I'd like to do here in Australia. I don't think Montana necessarily wants to travel overseas. She doesn't want to be away from her family. And I think it's one of those things that we need to try not to burn the kids out by doing maybe too much where they say, that's it, I want to go away, walk away and become an au pair or, work at McDonald's or something along those lines. But then also, continue to have them in horses and keep horses, as part of their lifetime.
Oh, look, my view is maybe a little bit different than yours in that regard, that I think it's actually quite healthy for kids to go overseas and to work. I mean, I went overseas. I spent 12 months overseas on a scholarship study. But, I just think it sometimes it is healthy to go and have a look and have a look at a different perspective. I think in Australia, I think we've got a really, really strong equestrian industry. You just have to look at the show world and how strong that is. You have a look at the dressage world. There's so many people getting into dressage. You've now got multiple streams. So not only can you go through Equestrian Australia, you've got, adult riding, you've got show organisations. So it's quite a strong stream for the dressage riders. And then you have a look at the eventing and the show jumping. I mean, it's actually really strong here in Australia. But I think if you want to compete at world level, then I think, unfortunately, we are so far away. It's very difficult for us to compete at those events. And so you've got to make sacrifices and travel overseas and have a go. And because, equestrian sports are traditionally very expensive, but I don't think it matters what country you're in. It's hugely expensive. And it's probably cheaper here in Australia, I would guess, than Europe, after hearing the 320,000 euro for a horse. I know that's not much over there, but that is a huge amount of money here in Australia.
Which could...
I kind of think that some kids should go away and have a look and come back, and they're often more committed when they are.
When they're back. How did you go, Robyn? Did you come up with an answer for my question?
Look, I'm a bit like you, Tony. I think that to compete, to rise up to the world stage, like if you're going to compete here and be the best in Australia, it's not enough. If you really want to match it against the best in the world, you've got to ride against the best in the world, like actually physically ride against them. So I think even if you were based here, like say Mary Hannah's, mostly based here, but she still goes over there and competes with her horses quite a lot. Now that's not available to every person to be able to fly horses over and back. So I think there is a level of apprenticeship needing to be done on that turf, the overseas ground. And then, I don't know, maybe then for the likes of Symone, they would come back here and have a career here after, setting that foundation. The other side of it, of course, that's what I do as a job, as professionally. Excuse me. And I do make a living out of it. So it really is possible for people to make a living out of this sport, here in this country. But I think the competition side as well, if you want to rise to the top, there is, as Tony said, that need to really get amongst it.
Yeah, and that's probably the reason I asked the question, not necessarily as a naive father, but as a father and someone that, you've got to try and help kids, full stop, Yeah. I'll put my hand up. I'm definitely trying to help Holly, but, long term I want to help, kids in general and maybe parents that are potentially, when they're planning, to keep their kids in horses, maybe they have to start thinking about overseas contacts and things along those lines to start it before, as I said before, all of a sudden she says, well, I'm going to walk away from the industry and become an au pair. Thankfully she didn't, and now she's representing Australia, but try and just stop that little glitch that we seem to have with kids leaving the sport for a while and as I said, or becoming track riders and things along those lines, and then they stop riding dressage because they can't bend because their backs are so sore and things along those lines. So I'm just trying to make a change and make awareness. And don't get me wrong, RVL, and Tone, we're doing some stuff with RVL coming up very shortly. Maybe that's something they have to look at too. They've got a glut of, a shortage of track riders. There's so many kids out there that can ride, but once they start riding, they probably override them, that then they can't continue to do what they love doing, and they either walk away from the thoroughbreds or they walk away from the show industry. So it's one of those, just if I put it out there as a conversational note, people can either react off it or they don't.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Yeah, go your hardest.
Yeah, right. So, Robyn, I'm just really interested a little bit more about Simone's journey. So this year she's had an astronomical year with her successes. Like, it's absolutely mind-blowing how
it's ridiculous.
well it's done this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you put that down to? Is it, just everything aligning for Symone, or is it the training that she's getting? Is it the stable that she's aligned with? I know there's sheer hard work behind it, but what do you put it down to?
It's the first time she's been in a stable where the horses don't get sold.
Right.
So she really has the opportunity to train them her way, keep them her way, and compete them and take them through. Like, she's now got horses that she's been on for 2 years, and the young ones that are going to the World Championship, she's the only rider that's been on them since they were broken in. They're not messed up to start off with. So many of the horses that she's had to turn into horses were very messed up to start with. And, now she has the opportunity to consistently ride these horses and form a real partnership with them.
She's qualified 3 horses for the Olympics. Did she get to choose which one that she will actually ride?
No, they said Destano. So, and she's happy with that. So that was good.
Well, Destano's a bit of a favourite, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's the one that's been around more. Like Amandori's and Double Joy, they're both quite new to the international, Grand Prix scene, and I'm sure they'd cope, but it's he's more like a rock. Yeah, he'll definitely, nothing will bother him. So he's a really good, reliable person to choose.
Yeah, no, he seems very cool and charismatic. I've been watching her on Simone Pearce dressage on her Facebook page, and she obviously just loves the horse.
Yeah, she loves them all. She really does love them. Yeah.
She's got a groom, Emily. So Emily is from Australia and been with her for a long time. How did Emily become involved and support Symone?
I think they met at Hellstrain, but that's not quite quotable, but I think they met at Hellstrain, and Emily was over there already, working in the odd barn here and there, and then when their paths crossed, they just hit it off, and Symone said, "Do you want to come and work for me?" And that was it. Yeah.
So what part of Australia is Emily from?
From Perth.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
because I see Emily feature quite a bit in Symone's photos and videos, and she's no doubt at all a strength for Symone. Probably, does that help her with her homesickness and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, I think it does, Tony. They live in the same house, so she does have somebody there with her, and I imagine it's not always great for either of them. When you're living with someone, there's ups and downs, but I think it really must help. It must. The continuity, the same person. There's that one thing that stays the same, for the last couple of years.
Yeah. And so her trainer is Oliver, is that right?
Yeah, Ollie Ulrich, and she's been with him now. I'm not so sure how long. I'm going to say 6 months, but it could be a little bit more. Yeah.
And did that come about via the stable, or is that just through Symone's connection?
I don't really know, Tony. Is the answer to that. All I know is she says, now I'm going to Ollie, and yeah.
So I saw that she's now in quarantine for the
that's right.
Olympics. Yep. What's the next stage for her to get into the Olympics?
So Emily flies out with the horses, and she flies out with the rest of the team. So they're taking them in. When I say the rest of the team, not just our team, all the equestrians go in the one plane. So they're taking them to the Olympics, just athletes in planes. So they won't be going in with anybody, ordinary travel. They're keeping them very in a bubble, which is really great.
Yeah. And I don't have anything else, Paul.
I've actually really enjoyed our chat, and I'd like to probably, I suppose, keep the dialogue open from time to time. Especially, wouldn't it be sad, Tones, if she actually wins? We might have to have Robyn on speed dial just on the off chance. As soon as the gold medal's at Dan, we'll click on, and we'll just see if she just exhales or if she's running around the house screaming. One of the two.
I don't think that'd be an exhale moment.
I hope not, for your sake. Tony and Robyn, thank you very much. I've really appreciated it, and some of the insight, and I hope some of the young kids out there that are trying to, I suppose, progress and dream, and probably sometimes, I think as girls get a bit older, or I shouldn't say girls either, just young riders get a bit older, they probably get a little bit deflated. Anything's possible if they chase their dream.
Paul, can I say one thing about that? There's been many, many, many times when we experienced deflated.
Yep.
Many.
Yeah.
Many, many. And so, if I could just say something to those riders, you're going to go through deflated. Keep going.
Yeah. Get stronger.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
Get back up. Get back up. Get back up.
Robyn, thank you very, very much. I appreciate you giving us a little bit of an insight into it. If we can catch up with Symone, we might not catch up with her now before the Olympics because I think she'll have a game face on, but we'll try and catch up with her post the Olympics. If she's watching this and she says, "Oh, they're not too bad, those two blokes," we can have a chat with them at some stage. That'd be great. But we are, the time difference makes it a little bit hard. But thank you very much for your time, and Tone, thank you very much for organising this interview. I've really appreciated it. And we'll look forward to bringing more and more things along these sort of lines on Campbell's Comments Equestrian. Thank you very much, both of you.
Great.
Thank
really
you.
great. Thanks for having me.